Christine Brown's journey from polygamous wife to independent woman has been nothing short of extraordinary. As a central figure in TLC's long-running reality series SisterWives, she lived her life in front of the cameras for over a decade, navigating the complexities of plural marriage with Kody Brown and her sister wives. But in recent years, Christine emerged as a powerful voice of self-empowerment, walking away from the union that no longer served her and inspiring countless viewers along the way. In an emotional and raw new interview, Christine Brown has opened up about the biggest lesson she learned from her split with Kody, shedding light on the pain, realizations, and transformations that have defined her rebirth. The decision to leave Kody was not sudden for Christine. It came after years of emotional distance, lack of intimacy, and a growing realization that her needs, both emotional and spiritual, were no longer being met. For viewers who have followed the SisterWives saga from its early seasons, it was apparent that Christine always sought a deep, romantic, and affectionate relationship with her husband. However, her efforts were increasingly met with indifference or even outright dismissal, especially as Kody began to focus more intently on his relationship with his fourth wife, Robyn Brown. Over time, Christine began to see the cracks in her marriage not as temporary but as structural. Her voice, once tentative and reserved, became more confident and firm. Christine's emotional separation played out slowly in front of cameras. As she withdrew from the family dynamic, especially from Kody's authority, fans watched her rediscover herself. In her recent revelation, Christine said the biggest lesson she learned from the split was the importance of knowing her own worth. That simple but powerful realization became her guiding force. She reflected on how, for many years, she had put her own desires aside, believing that being a good wife and good sister wife meant sacrificing her happiness. She admitted that for a long time she felt like she didn't deserve more, or that wanting more would make her selfish. But over time, the emotional cost of that self-denial became too great to ignore. She explained that during her marriage, she often felt invisible, as if her thoughts, opinions, and feelings were less important than Kody's agenda or the needs of the family as a whole. Her revelation did not come in one dramatic moment, but rather through a series of emotional breakdowns and honest reflections. One key moment, she shared, was watching her daughters come to age and seeing the kind of love and respect they were starting to expect from future partners. Christine knew she had to be an example, not someone who accepted less than she deserved. That realization hit her hard. She couldn't tell her daughters to expect love and respect if she herself stayed in a marriage devoid of those things. Christine also revealed how lonely her life had become, even within a large family. Despite having sister wives and children around her, she often felt like she was bearing the emotional burden alone. Kody's increasing favoritism toward Robyn made her feel pushed out and devalued. Her repeated attempts to express her hurt were often met with defensiveness or minimization. She recounted several difficult conversations where Kody denied her reality, telling her that love wasn't meant to be passionate or that she was too demanding. Over time, she began to question whether she was asking too much, until she realized she was simply asking for the bare minimum. Therapy and journaling played major roles in her healing. Christine shared that she spent many nights journaling her feelings, writing out her fears, dreams, and frustrations. This practice helped her recognize patterns in her emotional life, especially the pattern of minimizing her own needs. Through therapy, she began to unpack the roots of her beliefs about love and marriage. She realized that from a young age, she had internalized the idea that self-sacrifice was virtuous and expected, especially for women in religious communities. But therapy helped her see that while sacrifice can be noble, it should never come at the expense of one's dignity and mental well-being. Christine's transformation was not just internal. As she began to reclaim her identity, she also began to explore new opportunities. From launching her own digital cooking show to building her social media brand, Christine found ways to connect with fans who admired her authenticity. Her decision to leave Flagstaff and relocate to Utah marked a symbolic turning point. In Utah, she found the support of her older children and the freedom to redefine her life on her own terms. That move wasn't just geographic, it was emotional and spiritual. Utah became a place of healing and possibility where Christine could dream again. She also began dating again, something she had once thought unimaginable. Her relationship with David Woolley emerged as a beacon of joy for her fans. Their romance, full of laughter, adventure, and mutual respect, stood in stark contrast to the emotional neglect she experienced in her marriage to Kody. Christine has said that being with David showed her what true partnership feels like. For the first time, she felt seen, heard, and cherished. And while the relationship brought her happiness, she emphasized that it was her journey of self-love and discovery that truly healed her. In her interview, Christine also took time to acknowledge the pain and grief that came with her decision. She didn't sugarcoat the difficulty of walking away from a marriage of nearly 3 decades. She described nights of doubt, of wondering if she made the right choice, and of missing the familiarity of her old life. But even in those moments of grief, she held on to the belief that she deserved a life filled with love and respect. Her courage, she said, came from imagining the life she wanted and believing it was possible. She spoke candidly about the complicated emotions that came with leaving a plural family. Despite her differences with Kody, she still cares deeply about the other sister wives and their children. The breakup fractured not just her marriage but the entire family dynamic. Christine admitted that watching the family fall apart was heartbreaking, especially for the kids. But she also knew that staying in an unhealthy marriage would ultimately be more damaging. She believes that honesty and authenticity, even when painful, are better than pretending everything is okay. Christine's words resonate deeply with many women who have found themselves in relationships where they felt unseen or undervalued. Her willingness to share her story has opened doors for conversations about mental health, emotional neglect, and the importance of self-love. For Christine, the biggest lesson from her split with Kody is that one must never settle for a life that feels small or loveless. Love should not hurt, and no one should feel invisible in their own marriage. She also emphasized the importance of boundaries. One of her most difficult challenges was learning to say no, to stop being the peacemaker and start being her own advocate. For years, she prioritized keeping the peace within the Brown family, often suppressing her own feelings to avoid conflict. But eventually, she realized that peace built on silence and self-abandonment was not real peace. It was a form of emotional imprisonment. Setting boundaries allowed her to reclaim her voice and step into her own power. Christine's journey has been watched by millions, and her message is now resonating far beyond the world of reality television. She has become a symbol of strength for women leaving toxic relationships, for mothers choosing to live boldly, and for anyone who has ever felt stuck but dared to hope for more. Her story proves that it is never too late to start over, never too late to demand respect, and never too late to choose joy. In reflecting on the biggest lesson she learned, Christine said that she finally understands that love should never be conditional. In her marriage, love often came with strings, expectations to behave a certain way, to keep quiet, to accept less. But true love, she now knows, is free and empowering. It lifts you up instead of weighing you down. That lesson, she says, is one she will carry for the rest of her life. Christine Brown's story is still being written. With her new love, new life in Utah, and renewed sense of self, she stands as a living example of the power of transformation. Her journey is not just about leaving Kody, it's about returning to herself. And in doing so, she has not only rewritten her own story but also inspired others to do the same. Her voice, once lost in the noise of polygamy, now rings clear with purpose and pride. And for Christine, that voice is her greatest victory. In the world of reality television, few stories have captivated audiences quite like that of the Brown family from SisterWives. With a unique polygamous family structure and a decades-long journey shared in front of cameras, the unraveling of that unit has become just as much a focus of attention as its early days of unity. Now, as the former wives move on and build lives beyond the grasp of Kody Brown, their ex-husband is left to navigate not only his fractured relationships but also the sting of public perception. The latest incident that has set the internet ablaze involves a comment Kody reportedly made about one of his ex-wives who was recently seen showing public affection with a new man. His alleged reaction, "You were starved for attention," has stirred a new wave of scrutiny and emotional unpacking, both among fans and those closest to the situation. Christine Brown, the third wife of Kody, has been increasingly open about the happiness she has found after leaving the plural marriage. From her joyful wedding to David Woolley to her candid interviews detailing the lack of intimacy and emotional connection in her previous marriage, Christine's newfound life has served as both inspiration and revelation. In contrast, Kody has struggled to maintain a consistent narrative, often oscillating between resentment, regret, and justification when speaking about his ex-wives. His most recent alleged remark, uttered either in private or within the confines of a production meeting, has managed to find its way to the public sphere and has ignited intense debates across social media platforms. According to sources close to the family, Kody saw images or footage of Christine and David being affectionate, perhaps holding hands or sharing a kiss at a public event, and responded with a mix of bitterness and defensiveness. Comment, "You were starved for attention" seems at first glance to be a harsh critique. But as many fans and analysts have pointed out, it reveals much more about Kody than it does about Christine. If Christine was indeed deprived of attention in the plural marriage, a sentiment she herself has echoed in numerous interviews and episodes, then Kody's remark only serves to affirm what she has long claimed. For years, Christine struggled to feel seen in a marriage where love and emotional priority were not evenly distributed. In her own words, she often felt like the extra wheel, the forgotten partner, the one who was tasked with raising children but not entitled to emotional intimacy or support. Her departure from Kody was not impulsive but the result of years of dissatisfaction and a yearning for something deeper, more fulfilling. Kody's response, rather than acknowledging this long history of emotional neglect, appears to mock or trivialize Christine's needs. To accuse someone of being starved for attention after withholding that very attention from them paints a troubling picture. For fans, it's a form of gaslighting. It implies that the woman who left a situation of emotional deprivation is somehow at fault for seeking affection elsewhere. It is also telling that the comment centers not on regret or understanding but on control and wounded pride. Kody, as many have pointed out, appears less hurt by the loss of Christine's love and more offended by her public happiness with someone else. The idea that Christine could thrive, could be loved openly and deeply by another man, seems to undermine Kody's long-standing identity as the patriarch of the family. Over the years, Kody has maintained a shifting dynamic with his wives. His relationship with Robyn, the fourth and now only legal wife, has been scrutinized for its exclusivity and emotional favoritism. Christine, Janelle, and Mary have all expressed in various ways how Robyn's entrance into the family altered the balance of power and affection. Christine, in particular, felt the brunt of that imbalance. Her efforts to maintain a loving relationship with Kody were often met with cold detachment, and the decline of their marriage was captured in painful detail on the show. Now, seeing Christine embraced, literally and metaphorically, by someone who values her has not only validated her decision but has also cast a brighter light on what she endured while in the plural union. Kody's reaction has also prompted discussions about emotional maturity and the difficulties men sometimes face when their former partners move on. While it is natural to feel a sense of loss or even jealousy, the way those emotions are handled can make all the difference. For many fans, Kody's remark comes off as a defensive jab rather than a reflective insight. Suggests that he still views his former wives through a lens of possessiveness, that he cannot fully accept their autonomy or happiness unless it aligns with his own narrative. Christine, meanwhile, has shown nothing but joy and peace in her new relationship. Her social media posts, interviews, and public appearances with David Woolley radiate a level of contentment and confidence that was notably absent in the final years of her marriage to Kody. The backlash against Kody has been swift and intense. Viewers of SisterWives have taken to Reddit, Twitter, and Instagram to voice their disapproval of his comments. Many are calling him out for lacking self-awareness, for failing to take responsibility for his role in the breakdown of the marriages, and for continuing to cast himself as the victim in a scenario where his former partners have all articulated the ways in which they felt unsupported and unloved. Even those who once sympathized with Kody are now questioning his integrity and emotional growth. Some have gone so far as to say that his resentment towards Christine is rooted in her refusal to stay quiet, to remain invisible in the narrative he prefers. Christine's fans, on the other hand, are rallying around her with unwavering support. They see her journey as one of empowerment, of rising from emotional neglect to find true partnership. David Woolley, a contractor and father, has been praised for his affectionate and respectful demeanor and his ability to bring out the best in Christine. Their wedding, which aired as part of a TLC special, was filled with warmth, laughter, and a kind of organic love that felt refreshingly real. In one memorable moment, Christine even addressed the pain of her past indirectly by toasting to second chances and true love that doesn't come with conditions. That one sentiment resonated deeply with her audience, many of whom have followed her story since the early seasons of SisterWives. Kody, meanwhile, is reportedly growing more isolated. His relationship with Robyn remains intact, but even that has not shielded him from the growing critiques surrounding his behavior. In recent episodes and interviews, Robyn has seemed increasingly frustrated, expressing that she did not sign up for the fallout in the division. Her pleas for reconciliation, however, have been met with silence or resistance from the other wives. Janelle and Mary have both indicated that a reunion with Kody is off the table. Christine, of course, has moved on completely. That leaves Kody in a position he never anticipated, no longer the central figure of a plural family, but rather a man struggling to hold on to a version of himself that no longer exists. The evolution of the Brown family story is, in many ways, a microcosm of broader themes around love, respect, and self-worth. Christine's decision to leave to seek joy and affection elsewhere is emblematic of a shift in how women, especially those in complex or patriarchal relationships, are reclaiming their narratives. Kody's reaction, though cutting, only further validates the reasons behind Christine's departure. It is the comment of a man who cannot quite come to terms with the fact that the world and the women in it have moved on. In the months to come, as new seasons of SisterWives continue to air and Christine's life unfolds with fresh milestones, the contrast between past and present will only grow starker. Every loving gesture from David, every smile from Christine, every celebration that centers her happiness will serve as a reminder that attention isn't something to be mocked. It's something every human being deserves. To be seen, to be valued, to be loved not in secret but in the light of day, that is what Christine now has. And if that truth unsettles Kody, perhaps it is not because she was starved for attention, but because he never thought she'd find it somewhere else. The saga of the Browns continues, but one thing is certain. Christine's chapter with Kody is over, and her story with David is just beginning. Whether Kody finds his own path to healing or remains entrenched in bitterness remains to be seen, but the public has already cast its vote. They are cheering for Christine not only because she found love, but because she finally chose herself.